In this conversation today, this webinar is really about the tasks and documents area. And really, what's that about? Well, there's two things you're accomplishing here. You're either giving information to your travelers, which maybe in the past you would have done like an FAQ and it would have been on your website, or maybe you had a PDF that you emailed to people as part of a pack that you sent. We've had some clients say that they actually have printed out big binders and shipped them to people. So we eliminate all of that and make it possible for you to deliver information to your travelers in nice little chunks. You can still do it as a PDF attached if you want to make that transition smoother. But generally we make it so that people actually interact with that content and take the necessary action. Because while it may be a frequently asked question that's simply like, oh yeah, I understand, sometimes there's extra work that needs to be done, and you don't want people to have missed those, especially now. And then the second side of that is getting information from your travelers. So you need to maybe know their dietary requirements. Appropriate to our conversation yesterday about accessible travel, you might need to ask them if they need extra time to get on and off the bus. You might ask them whether or not they need a sort of wheelchair accessible room, things like that. So you might need to get information from your travelers that you need to act upon prior to departure. So that's the two things, like when you're thinking about what am I going to use tasks for, those are the two kind of high level areas. And now in the rest of this, we're going to dig into the details of exactly what kinds of information you'll give, what kinds of information you will get from your travelers. So before I jump into the demo, are there any questions that are coming up already now? All right, good. I like it when I'm already off to a good start and being clear. So we're just going to stop that presentation and we're going to jump over to the live demo of the platform. So this is YouLi, and all of you should have already interacted with the YouLi platform because that's what we use to register you guys for this event. So you would have seen this, and you would have seen the Zoom link there, and that it's free, and this is the time, and the add calendar. But when you registered, you didn't see these options there. And that's because I just turned them on as part of the preparation for this webinar. And so now when you go back, so in any of the emails that you got from the YouLi system for this event, you can click on that button to view experience or next steps, and it will bring you in here and you can see the example tasks that I'm actually going to go through with you today. So feel free if you want, I know some people like to listen by watching others and some people like to interact. Please feel free to jump back into your trip page, which is what we call these, and experience it as a traveler. So obviously these are all fake, so you don't have to put real information in, and you're not actually accepting any terms and conditions. So just feel free to upload anything, any little file to that to complete it and things like that. So a couple of things that I wanted to kind of point out about this. You'll see it says to do and documents. Well, that actually is completely controlled as the planner under the settings tab. So you can actually turn these things on and off. So you'll see when you were registering, I had these off because they weren't relevant to you then. And so this is another really amazing thing about the way that the trip pages work, is that as an organizer, you can control how that information rolls out. So maybe in the beginning, you're just collecting registrations, and then you get to a certain point in time when it becomes relevant and you want to show those tasks and you want to show those documents and resources that you're sharing with them. You can then, of course, change this. So, get it done. If you want to be cheeky, if you call these docs instead of documents, whatever you want to label those, and that's what will appear on the trip page for your travelers. So that's how you control that visibility of these features. And that's something that really makes the trip pages very, very powerful. So that's how you control whether or not these are visible to your travelers. Now let's see how we make them. So you do that under what's called manage tasks. So for those of you who haven't logged into the platform, when you make a trip, you're going to see this kind of dashboard for your trip, and it's going to have all these controls on the left-hand side. So you're going to click into your managed tasks, and this is where you're going to see all the tasks that I created. So here you can see the planner view, and so you can see that those are just the flip side, right? So this is where you manage all the information about those tasks, and you can also start to see responses. Oh, this is exciting. I'm seeing at least one response, so that's good. And you'll see a couple of little things in here that I'm going to go through one by one. So the first thing that I want you to take a note of is the type. So here you can see that these are checkbox done, input box, custom form. So these are what we call the response type. Now I'm just going to jump into the help documentation, which is linked from the app, so you can kind of see this. And when you're specifying your response type, it's going to give you a selection of them. There are 9 preset task response types to make your life easy. And so these things cover checkbox done. So that's like pack everything, you know, and then you can attach a packing list to that. You could do a radio button, which is a yes, no. If you want a private room, for example. You can do a select all that apply if you want to ask them maybe where they've been traveling to in the last 14 days. Or you can ask them to pick only one option. So if it's a pick one from a list. And of course, the very important date picker if you need a date of birth or maybe an arrival time. And an input box, so you just want them to tell you something. So, you know, what was your favorite part of the trip? So you can use this as a post-trip process. And you can also ask them to upload a document. So this is the book travel insurance example, where you give them instructions on how to book your travel insurance, and then they upload a copy of that travel insurance so you have that as well as them. And very importantly, the passport form. So this has a preset form that asks all the information that you'll want to know, as well as asking them to upload a copy of their passport. So you can double check that they did the data entry correctly, and you have that copy, which sometimes hotels or cruise ships need a copy of the passport as well as just the numbers there. So those are the 9 canned ones. And then there's also the ability to do custom forms if you're on Future Ready or above package. But let's start with the 9 that we just went through. So I'm just going to jump into an example here, which is accepting your terms and conditions. So this is a really common one that I find a lot of our clients do this. Now you can have people accept the terms and conditions on registration. So this is the registration pop-up that you all would have seen. And you can link to your terms and conditions and privacy policy from this consent box. And this happens when they register. But we find a lot of people feel that that's not enough, that, you know, people kind of register and just click the box and haven't really thought about what that means. And so a lot of our clients actually choose to make it an explicit task that they have people do independently from registration. And that means that they're much more likely to take the time to read it, because they're not trying to get through a registration form to get to the payment to make the booking. They're actually like, oh, okay, you want me to stop, you want me to look at these terms and conditions. And so we recommend that you link out to wherever your terms and conditions are on your website, assuming they are there, or you can put a link here to your site, or you can actually just upload from your computer here. So whichever way you prefer to provide your terms and conditions, whether you want to link it or attach a PDF, all of that works. And so as you can see, I'm saying accept terms and conditions. I'm telling them what they need to do. In this case, I'm setting a response due date. That is completely optional, but that allows the system to then do automated reminders. So people will actually get emails if they don't complete this by the response due date. You can also control who they're assigned to, so you can give it to everybody, or you can limit it to certain people. So for example, maybe only some people have to do an extra step. Then you can actually limit that to just those people, and you just type their name in there to select them. So here you can see the response type is checkbox done. Now I can't change that now because I've started getting responses in there. And so I'm actually just going to jump back and show you what those responses are going to look like. So when I get those responses, I'm going to be able to click in to those responses from either here. And so I can see there's sort of 1 out of 49 that have been completed. And I can actually filter to just the people who have responded. So thank you, Andre, for getting that done. And then I can interact with that from there. So I can actually see how many people have completed it and how many people have not. And so you'll see that this allows me to also export these people and send them a message. So for example, I could filter to the people who have not responded and follow up with a message that says, this is really important, please complete all of these. So you can use this on top of the automated reminders or instead of the automated reminders, depending on how you want to manage your communication. So it shows here that I've got attachments on this one. So that's actually going to tell me that under resources and uploads on the left-hand side, that I actually have some trip resources provided. So this is where I have a liability waiver, and this is where I linked to my terms and conditions. So those are the resources that I have. Those are called trip resources. So those are the things that I attach to tasks, which then gets delivered to the travelers. So we get this question a lot. There is no way to have a document that's just on the trip. It needs to be attached to a task. And we do that on purpose because we believe that people don't read things if you don't make it something they have to read. And so you can, of course, if you have lots of documents and you don't expect them to read all of them, you can make one task that just says, check out the resources we've provided. You can attach all those documents there, and then they can just check the box that says, yep, I see all the resources, thank you. So it doesn't have to be one document per task. It can be lots of documents. So that's one way to sort of upload your documents to a task without kind of requiring too much action from them. And then once documents do start getting uploaded, you'll see them here. So you can see that I've uploaded this document, and then as people add responses, they will appear here. And so from here, you can actually download all of the documents, or you can download individual ones, or you can actually grab a copy of this. You can grab a share link, and you can actually copy that link and send it to maybe one of your suppliers. So for example, if you have your passport for a particular person that you need to send to them, you can actually just grab it here if you didn't want to email it to them. And that doesn't require them to log into the system. That's a really quick run through of kind of how tasks flow through to into documents. And just gonna jump in and show you kind of how that looks from the traveler side. So here I'm gonna check the accept terms and conditions box. And so what I see is, please read terms and conditions. That's the link. For travel thoroughly, your understanding is essential to an understandable trip. Oh, that's a typo. So that's really easy to fix. We can just pop back into the description and fix that. And you'll notice that I linked to it from here as well as from here. That's a choice that I've made. You can link however you like, or you can attach that document. And you'll see that this is a checkbox done type task. So all the person has to do is click complete. They can choose to leave an optional message, and that is the case on all tasks. So we're just gonna do that. And so that one just goes green and disappears, right? And then when I click on show completed, I see it here. I can also see that I've actually got one that I've completed that's pending planner review. So this is one where I've actually uploaded a document. I've uploaded the signed liability waiver, but because this is set as a pending planner review task, that actually creates a sort of pending review indicator for the planner. It also sends an email to everyone who's listed on the trip. So now I can click in here and I see that this traveler has uploaded a document. I can click to view that document, and I can also click to review that document. So from here, I can respond to them if I want. So I can say, thanks for that, looks great. Or I can choose not to leave a message. I can either send them a confirmation or choose not to send them a confirmation, depending on what's happening with, do they expect a response, or is this just something for the planner to just sort of note, yep, they have done the right thing, they've signed the document correctly. And so then, you can also leave yourself a note on this. So this could just be, looks good to me. So if you want to leave that note for other planners on the trip, you can put that there, and that doesn't go to the traveler. So you can either put in a message for the traveler or just put in a message for your team. Now you see that that's checked off. It says the date that it was checked off. And now when I click back into tasks, I see that my pending review is gone. So that's cleared that out. It just gives you a little bit of a sort of process management hint. So as your responses come in, if there's actions you need to take, you can set it such that it marks it as pending review so that you have to do something. And so a great example of that would be potentially the confirm your test results. So, if that becomes a requirement that people have to give you test results before they travel, you'll probably want to check that box, which requires a planner review. So that way, when they tell you what the results are, you get an email, it tells you what their answer is, that you need to come in and handle that. So if they've tested positive, maybe you need to refund them. Assuming they've tested negative, then you can then ensure that the rest of the booking process continues. So there's all sorts of creative ways that you can do this, and it's really about implementing your business processes that you'll be developing for the post-COVID travel experiences. So I'm just going to pause right there just to make sure, because I've covered a lot of functionality here, I just want to make sure that everyone's feeling comfortable with that so far. So do we have any questions coming up? Oh, everyone's super clear. That's really good. Just give you guys a little bit of time to think about this.
Jen, we have a question around passport security information.
Ah, very good question. Thank you. Yeah, so let me just pop in the passport one. So I'll just show you how easy that is. So if I want to say, please provide your passport details. So enter your data and upload a scanned or photo of your passport here. So we're going to make that for everyone, and we're going to make that a planner review required, and then we're going to pick passport form upload. That's all you have to do. And once that's published, then when I come in as a traveler, and you'll see that I'm prompted to refresh the page because I've been given a new task. And so, and you also see I'm prompted for the next urgent task to complete. So here, when I click on provide passport details, it's asking for me for all this information. Now, this data is all stored securely. We transmit all information over HTTPS, and we encrypt the data at rest. Our data is stored in the Amazon cloud. So that comes with all the security of, sort of enterprise grade infrastructure. So, Netflix runs on the same cloud, for example. And we also ensure that the copies of the passports are also stored encrypted in a separate location, but same cloud. So yes, we take data security very, very seriously. We are also happy to agree to a GDPR data steward agreement. So we have some additional information on that. If GDPR is a requirement for your business, we can very easily respond to any data removal requests. And we have security in terms of who can access this data on our side, as well as the planners who have access to this. So if this is a concern for you, we're happy to go through a full data privacy and protection audit as well. So Great question though, love that, because it's a
Jen,
very important one.
we had another question about digital sign-off.
Digital sign-off, yes. So at the moment, the way that a lot of our clients do this is they sort of take their existing liability waiver, make a PDF out of it, and then have people either take a photo or download it and digitally sign it and then upload it back. We recognize that that's not the smoothest process, and so we are working on a partnership with DocuSign to make that integrated. However, that does have an additional cost, so you would have to pay for the DocuSign services as well. So for those of you for whom that's not worth the extra cost per month, we do find that this way of doing it works really well for our clients who don't do a high volume of these signatures. And they can, of course, take a photo on their phone. So the trip page actually works on mobile, both as a mobile app if they want to download that, but also in their mobile browser. So if they take a photo of the waiver that they've signed, they can actually upload it directly here as well, because I know not everyone has a scanner. So there's a couple of different ways to do that. But yeah, we recognize that sort of integration with a digital signing platform is definitely on the way. Great questions. Got any more hands up? All right. So just to kind of show you a couple of other examples. So we have an emergency contact example. So this one's actually a custom form. And so we've built that field by field. And so we've got the name, the phone number, and then it tells them to be notified when the planner has reviewed their answer. So that's an example of a very simple custom form. They can be even longer than that. So for example, you might have an accessibility questionnaire. And so here's one where it's asking whether or not you're in a wheelchair. Do you need, just extra time to walk upstairs? So these are just, some example questions. Obviously, you need to tune it to your business and what kind of information you can take action on. And then, of course, just please tell us if there are other considerations. So you can always end with sort of a general input in addition to asking these sort of very specific questions. And these can get quite long. So we have people who have, maybe 30 different questions on their questionnaires, either health questionnaires, accessibility questionnaires, or it could be just, asking more information about that person in terms of background, how they heard about you. We have a lot of clients who are also using tasks for delivering course curriculum. So they're actually, the forms are used to have people complete their homework. So that's a creative use of it. And then when we get to fly again, this is one of the common tasks that we see used, which is having them enter their flight arrival date and time so that you can arrange pickup at the airport, but then also having them upload an entire copy of their full itinerary, just in case something goes wrong. You can check on their flight numbers and things like that. So you can either do something really simple like this, which is just date, time, and an optional upload, or you can go create a custom form that asks them, when do you leave California? When do you arrive France? When do you can break it down into, having them enter their entire itinerary if you want to do that. We generally recommend just have them upload a copy of the itinerary because people will enter the wrong information and you're going to have to check anyway. But this can be really handy just to get the date and time, and then you can, of course, group your pickups from the airport.
Jen,
and, yeah.
Oh, sorry, just quickly, we had a great question from Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
He was saying that he has a lot of elderly clients who like to print off their forms and mail them back. And
Yes.
he was saying, can we upload them for them? And so, yeah,
Yes.
the platform is really flexible in that as a planner, you can complete tasks on behalf of a traveler.
Yeah, and so if I'll find Nick here and I'll view as Nick. So, so now I'm actually responding for Nick. Yeah, and so here I am, I'm going to the to-do. So if Nick has emailed me his liability waiver, then I just check on that, and then I upload that file that's been emailed to me. And then that all gets filed accordingly, and they stop getting emails telling them to do it and all that good stuff. So yeah, great question. You know, it's one of those things, eventually you get your travelers to use the tools, but in the meantime, it's really easy for you to take action on their behalf, or even just if you're on the phone. So if they're like, can I just tell you, you know, you can just come in here and be like, yep, okay, sorry, what's your emergency contact's name? What's their number? And you can fill that all out for them. So absolutely.
Nathan also asked, can people complete tasks on the mobile app?
Yes, they absolutely can. Now, keep in mind, you have to be online to complete them. So it is an offline app, like it takes a copy for viewing of itineraries and completed tasks offline. But if you are adding new information, you do have to be connected to the internet to do that. But as long as you've got a network, you can absolutely do that from the mobile app as well. That's a great question. Yeah, and it's really lovely because it's not only, you know, good for you, but it's good for them because their documents will appear here. So, you know, they will be able to access their itinerary, their travel insurance. Like, by forcing them to give all that information to you, you're actually aggregating all that information for them as well in one place. And so then all the information about the actual experiences here, but then also all of their documents that they have needed to pull together for the trip are here as well. So we're pretty proud of how that kind of helps people feel like they're prepared. And we've gotten this feedback from people, just they love being able to check this off. We had a trip that went to Morocco. It was the first time sort of overseas traveler. She was really nervous, and she just loved being able to see like everything checked off, you know, because it just calmed her down and made her feel like she was ready for this. And as we all know, you know, calm travelers are going to be much happier customers. So this can be a really great way of making them feel like they're ready for the experience. All right. Just wanted to make sure I've covered everything. Let me just pop back in here. So, you know, I've kind of talked about getting information from the travelers, that passport details, questionnaires, dietary needs, you know, special needs. And so, you know, I'm currently working with Yasmin at Get Aboutable to sort of understand what kind of special needs questions we might ask. So to make your trips more accessible, what kind of questions can you ask to make people feel like this is an experience that they can go on and they know they're going to be taken care of. And t-shirt size, like really whatever you need from them, right? And then informing and protecting them, like we talked about, providing that information. You can give them videos and say, make sure you watch this, you know, traveling post-COVID video, like those are going to come, right? Like all this stuff is going to come out about how we do this safely. We don't know what it looks like yet. It might be, you know, make sure you get your vaccination, whatever that is, making sure that your travelers know what that is and they need to get done. And you can also use it after the fact. So, you know, you can ask them to reflect on their experiences, do like little mini journals, or you can ask them for reviews, prompt them to leave a review for you on any of the platforms you prefer. So we talked about the response types. So I went through them. There's 9 standard ones, plus you can do custom forms where you can kind of build any collection of inputs that you need. And we have task visibility so that you can assign that visibility depending on what, whether or not this is for everyone or just certain people, or excluding people. You know, potentially you have a co-coordinator on the trip. They don't need to complete some of those tasks, but all your travelers do. So you can exclude those people from that, and you can give them other tasks to do instead. And of course, adding resources. So videos, documents, So, really any link you can attach to a task so that they have that as a resource. We talked about the due dates. So, why this is really important, and one of the things that's really different about the way that YouLi works is that our registration form is super simple. It's name, email address, sometimes phone number, and then an optional comment box, consent, register. We try to capture people's information really, really simply, and then make sure that they go through the process of, okay, now you pay if there's a payment required, now you complete your tasks. So instead of having a registration form that asks for the passport before they've even paid the deposit, which you can lose people that way because they're just, I don't have my passport. You want to capture that registration, then you want to capture that deposit, then you want to get their passport. And previously, booking systems would sort of assume this is your only shot. You have to get all the information from this user right now. But we recognize that people are going to be interacting with you over time as they're sort of getting excited about the trip. And you can also use this as a way of, kind of reminding them how excited they should be. And so, if you space these tasks out so that they kind of do one task every month in the 6 months leading up to it, then it doesn't become this massive form that no one wants to fill out, and it just becomes a really easy experience. So you can set due dates, which will do automated reminders, and that also helps people sort of see what's the most important. So you put them in that order. And we already talked about the mobile